Of all the epic rivalries in the natural world, few capture the imagination like the life-and-death struggle on the African savanna. We can easily picture it, the brute strength of a lion pride clashing with the cunning opportunism of a hyena clan. It's a drama of survival, territory, and power. But what if I told you that this familiar conflict is but a modern echo of a far older, far grander, and vastly more terrifying war? A war fought not on sun-scorched plains, but in the crushing, silent darkness of a prehistoric world hidden beneath the waves. This was the theater of the Mesozoic era, an age when the oceans were ruled not by sharks or whales, but by reptiles of monstrous proportions. For over 150 million years, these ancient seas were the battleground for two titans of evolution, the Ichthyosaur and the Plesiosaur. The names themselves sound like echoes from a lost world. The Ichthyosaur, the fish lizard, was a living torpedo, a master of speed and agility. Its counterpart, the Plesiosaur, or near lizard, was a creature of diverse and deadly designs, from serpentine ambush predators to hulking sea monsters. These were not dinosaurs, but a distinct and spectacular dynasty of marine reptiles that claimed the oceans as their own. In their long reign, they hunted, fought, and evolved in a relentless arms race for supremacy. So, in this ultimate contest for control of the deep, which of these two superpowers truly held the crown? The answer isn't a simple one. It's a story written in fossilized bone and teeth, a tale of radically different body plans, ingenious hunting strategies, and savage encounters that we are only now beginning to fully understand. The first step in understanding any great conflict is to know the combatants. In the war for the ancient oceans, the two primary belligerents could not have been more different in their design, each a masterpiece of evolution sculpted for a specific form of aquatic dominance. They were the living embodiments of two opposing military philosophies: speed versus strength, agility versus ambush. First, consider the Ichthyosaur. If you were to design a creature for pure, unadulterated speed in the water, you would inevitably arrive at something that looked very much like an Ichthyosaur. This is a classic example of what biologists call convergent evolution, where unrelated species independently evolve similar traits to adapt to similar environments. The Ichthyosaur's streamlined, teardrop-shaped body was so perfectly hydrodynamic that it strikingly resembled the modern-day tuna or dolphin, animals that appeared on Earth tens of millions of years after the last Ichthyosaur vanished. Its powerful crescent-shaped tail fin, beating side to side like a fish, provided immense propulsion, while its fins acted as hydroplanes for steering and stability. It was, in essence, a living missile. But its most remarkable feature was its eyes. The Ichthyosaur possessed some of the largest eyes relative to body size of any animal that has ever lived. Some fossilized eye sockets measure over 10 inches in diameter, protected by a ring of bone called a sclerotic ring. These enormous optical instruments were not for show. They were sophisticated biological sensors, capable of gathering every last photon of light in the dim, blue, filtered world of the deep ocean. This suggests a hunter that relied heavily on vision, one that could pursue swift, agile prey in low-light conditions where others would be effectively blind. Armed with a long, slender snout packed with sharp, conical teeth, the Ichthyosaur was built to chase, catch, and consume. It was the arrow of the ocean, a creature defined by its relentless, high-speed pursuit. In the opposite corner of this prehistoric arena stood the Plesiosaur, a creature that traded the Ichthyosaur's singular focus on speed for a wider, more versatile range of deadly adaptations. The term Plesiosaur is not one-size-fits-all. It encompasses a diverse group that can be broadly split into two distinct and formidable designs, each representing a different theory of naval warfare. First were the long-necked Plesiosaurs, the elasmosaurs, the quintessential image of the Loch Ness Monster. These animals possessed a massive, barrel-shaped torso, propelled through the water not by a tail, but by four enormous wing-like flippers that they likely moved in a powerful underwater flight motion, similar to how a sea turtle or penguin swims today. This method provided incredible power and maneuverability, though not the explosive top speed of an Ichthyosaur, but their true weapon was the neck. In some species, like Elasmosaurus, the neck could be over 30 feet long, containing more vertebrae than any other animal in history. For years, scientists imagined this neck as a flexible, snake-like appendage striking out in all directions. More recent analysis, however, suggests the neck was more rigid, functioning less like a serpent and more like a living fishing rod. This design was perfect for an ambush predator. The elasmosaur could keep its large, conspicuous body hidden in the murky depths or at a distance, while extending its small head on that impossibly long neck into an unsuspecting school of fish or ammonites, striking with lethal precision before the prey even registered the danger. It was a strategy of stealth, surprise, and patience. Then there was the other branch of the family, the plesiosaurs. And if the long-necked plesiosaurs were the assassins of the ancient seas, the plesiosaurs were the battleships. These were the short-necked plesiosaurs, and they took the basic body plan, massive torso, and 4 powerful flippersand topped it with a skull of terrifying proportions. Creatures like Leopleurodon and Kronosaurus were apex predators of the highest order, the T-Rexes of the deep. Their necks were short and muscular, designed to support a colossal head armed with a jaw that could generate one of the most powerful bite forces in Earth's history. Their teeth were not slender and sharp like an ichthyosaur's. They were huge, conical, and deeply rooted, built for punching through thick hide and crushing bone. These were not creatures that relied on stealth or surprise. A plesiosaur was a macropredator, an engine of pure destruction designed to hunt and kill large prey, including other marine reptiles, and that very much included ichthyosaurs. Their very anatomy speaks to a strategy of overwhelming brute force assault. With such radically different physical blueprints, it's no surprise that ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs adopted entirely different combat doctrines. Their hunting strategies were a direct extension of their anatomy, turning the Mesozoic oceans into a complex and deadly chessboard where speed, stealth, and brute force were all in play. The ichthyosaur's method was the marine equivalent of a blitzkrieg. As highly visual hunters in the open ocean, or the pelagic zone, their entire strategy revolved around detection and rapid interception. Imagine the scene: an ichthyosaur patrolling the sunlit upper layers of the sea, its enormous eyes scanning the blue expanse. It spots the silvery flash of a school of fish or the telltale jet propulsion of belemnitis ancient squid-like cephalopods. The chase is immediate and explosive. With powerful beats of its tail, it accelerates to incredible speeds, closing the distance in moments. Its streamlined body cuts through the water with minimal resistance. There is no complex ambush, no intricate trap. It is a pure, linear assault, relying on being faster and more agile than its prey. It would surge through a school of fish, its long jaws snapping left and right, swallowing its victims whole. This was a high-energy lifestyle, requiring constant patrolling and a metabolism to fuel its powerful muscles, much like the great predatory fish, such as marlin and tuna, that fill a similar niche today. The plesiosaur's approach was a study in contrasts. For the long-necked elasmosaur, the hunt was a game of deception. Its strategy was to minimize its own presence while maximizing the reach of its weapon. Hovering patiently, using its 4 flippers to make subtle adjustments in the water column, it would become a living death trap. As a school of fish swam by, the plesiosaur's body would remain still and distant, but its head, perched at the end of that incredible neck, would dart into the fray. The long neck allowed the head to attack from unexpected angles from below, from the side, or even from above long before the bulky body could startle the prey. It was an energy-efficient method, perfect for catching smaller, swifter animals without engaging in a costly pursuit. The plesiosaurs, however, had no time for such subtlety. Their strategy was one of terrifying dominance. A plesiosaur was an ambush predator, but not one of finesse. It would use the dark and murky depths for cover, launching itself upward with devastating force from its 4-flipper engine. Its targets were not small fish, they were large prey. Other plesiosaurs, sea turtles, and, crucially, ichthyosaurs. The attack would have been a catastrophic event. A multi-ton behemoth rocketing from below, its massive jaws agape, aiming to deliver a single, decisive, bone-shattering bite. This wasn't a chase, it was an execution. The battle between an ichthyosaur and a plesiosaur was therefore not a fair fight. It was a clash between a fighter jet and a heavily armed Fortressa contest where the ichthyosaur's only hope for survival was to detect the threat early and use its superior speed to escape the plesiosaur's lethal strike zone. For a long time, these scenarios of epic hunts and savage battles were just that, scenarios. educated guesses based on anatomy. But the field of paleontology is a bit like forensic science, and fossils are the ultimate cold cases. A skeleton is not just a collection of bones, it is a story written in stone, and sometimes those stories contain direct, irrefutable evidence of violence. In recent decades, a series of remarkable fossil discoveries have transformed our understanding, pulling these ancient rivalries from the realm of speculation into the harsh light of proven fact. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence comes from the fossil of an ichthyosaur of the species Plesiosaur. Unearthed in Australia, its skeleton bore the unmistakable signature of a violent encounter. Embedded in its bones and gouged across their surface were the clear bite marks of a Kronosaurus, one of the largest and most fearsome plesiosaurs. The spacing and size of the tooth marks perfectly matched the jaw of this apex predator. The forensic analysis of these marks paints a grim picture, a brutal attack, likely from above or below, where the plesiosaur's massive conical teeth punched through flesh and bone. This fossil is a snapshot of a successful hunt, a silent testament to the plesiosaur's role as a top-tier predator capable of taking down other large marine reptiles. But the ichthyosaurs were not always the victims. They were formidable predators in their own right, and a stunning fossil from Somerset, England, proves they could also be the aggressors. The fossil is of a large plesiosaur, nicknamed Doris, and lodged deep within one of her jawbones is a chilling piece of evidence, the broken-off tooth tip of an ichthyosaur. The bone around the tooth had begun to heal, meaning Doris survived the encounter. We can only guess at the story here. Was the ichthyosaur trying to prey on a smaller plesiosaur? Was it a territorial dispute? Or was it a desperate act of self-defense against a larger attacker? Whatever the reason, this fossil proves that interactions were not a one-way street. It demonstrates that ichthyosaurs were bold and aggressive enough to attack a plesiosaur, leaving behind a permanent record of their ferocity. These fossilized scars are the echoes of a real war, giving us a privileged, if terrifying, glimpse into the daily struggle for survival in the Mesozoic seas.